married people here, it has also begun. May I ask you, are you still interested in your wife now? That is, in your mind, are you still marrying your wife in your mind? Or have you divorced her in your mind? How will it happen? It may be a particular thing that the lady did, a particular bad character, a particular thing that your wife did to you that you didn't like, that pained you to your marrows. And as a result of that, something began to happen. Loss of interest. Loss of interest. Your interest in your wife began to diminish because of that bad character, because of that bad thing she said, or vice versa. It could be your husband that did, it could be your wife. And when that loss of interest began to come, small, it now, you see, the thing will progress. There is progression. Is anybody hearing me? I said there is what? Progression. Before, it began with the little thing she did, and you hated it. And the thing continued, and then loss of interest began to come. That loss of interest will get to a point where it will hand over to shift of focus. You shift focus from your wife. Shift focus from your husband. When they talk about your husband, they say, what? That one, a husband. That one, a husband. Yeah, man. Because of what? Loss of interest, shift of focus. You're not interested in her again. You are not interested in him again. And as a result of that, two of you will be living in the same house, but it is a cat and water rat. God of sin. So I want you to think. The appropriate thing is, listen to this thing that I want to say. I've been saying it. I think I've said it here before. Learn how to keep short account with God and the short account with human beings. Any little thing that happens, do what? Settle it immediately. Settle it immediately. Handle it immediately. You notice that this thing I said is not true. Maybe you lied. My friend, go and say the truth. Go and correct that old lie. Is anybody hearing me? Correct it immediately. Because if you don't correct it and you want to defend it, you must bring another lie and use it to cover the first lie. But say the truth. Shame will come upon the devils. And then that matter will do what? Die. If there be any consequence, bear it. The problem that people have is that they are afraid of the consequences of saying the truth. They are afraid of the consequences of opening it up. But if you want to be free, are some people that committed sin, and then the devil, your mind will be telling you what? Keep calm, Joe. And then you keep quiet. And then you are hiding it. You don't want to open it. Next day, some things begin to happen again. Some pressure comes upon you again to commit sin. The devil will tell you, listen, the punishment they give to the person that did once is the punishment they will give to the person that do 2 times. So there's no problem. And you say, yes, so it's true. Is it not the same suspension? If I do once, suspension. If I do 2 times, suspension. If I do 3 times, so no problem. And then the next thing is what? You yield into the sin again. Now, the same devil will not tell you that you are going deeper and what? Deeper into sin. So what do? Read Isaiah finally. Isaiah chapter number 51. Let's just read verse 14. Are you there? Isaiah 51:14. The captive exile hasteneth that he may be what? Loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. The captive exile is a captive. He has been exiled. He has been thrown into a pit. He hasteneth. He does everything possible to do what? To be loosed, to be freed. One, for one reason, so that he will not die in the pit. Two, that his bread should not finish. If your bread finish in the pit, there's no supply of bread again. Hunger and thirst will finish you up. You will suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer until you will finally do what? Die. What does he do? He does everything possible. He struggles to be free. A little cord could be a little cord of hatred. The devil will not tell you where that hatred will lead you at the end of the day. That little hatred towards that sister, towards that brother. That little hatred towards your leader or towards your pastor or vice versa. That little hatred. The devils will not tell you where it will lead you to at the end of the day. It's a little cord. It's a little rope that has come up. And you don't know that it is a trap until you put your leg into it. And then, and from there, it begins to bind you. What happens? Additional sins will begin to come. Additional sins will begin to come. That hatred towards that person will lead into backbiting the person. Through that backbiting, you can now begin to even bear false witness against the person. You now begin to say unprintable things about the person. You now begin to do things that look somehow. You now see the person. You are not. The good morning is you say, Pastor, good morning. You say, morn now, morn. Pastor, good morning. You don't mean good morning, but you should mourn. When that thing begins to come up in the mind on a pastor or on a leader, he will not treat his people well again. The church members will not treat pastor well. They will see pastor the way they should see pastor. Pastor will not see the people the way he should see the people, because there's a little rope that has come up in the heart which he has put his leg into, and then he doesn't like the sister again, and he doesn't like the pastor again, and then his voice will not mean anything. When you come to church, the preaching of that pastor will not benefit you, because you are not interested in the pastor. His message will not work, because your mind is far away from him. And then if the person be a pastor, when such a person comes to you for counseling, you fulfill obligation. Oh, you are blessed, you are healed in the name of. You don't want to sit down. But when some other people come, you will sit down and listen attentively to their problems, ask them questions, give them counsel, and fire prayer for them. But that very person, because of something that is happening in your heart, you'll give her wait and take service. Piam, 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 piam. Next person. I'm listening to bring the next person. I want to ask you what is in your mind. Call the sin. Are there no sisters that you see? The moment you see them, you wish that the ground should open so that will fall into the ground. They are not sisters that you see. They have not seen you. You follow the way you didn't plan to follow. You divert so that two of you will not meet. Why are you dodging your sister? Why are you dodging your brother? It must be that there is something that is happening in your heart. There is something in your heart that makes you to feel uncomfortable when you see that brother. Makes you to feel uncomfortable when you see that sister. A captive exile does what? Hasteneth that he might be loosed, so that he will not die in the pit, so that his bread will not finish in the pit. Are there not people here this morning, if they want to say the truth, they and she and her husband did not greet each other well this morning? They may not even greet, or they greeted, but that greeting was just mere fulfillment of an obligation. But I ask you, before you came to church this morning, are you in a good relationship with your wife? Brother, tell me the truth. Are you telling me that this morning you and your wife came out rejoicing and happily came to church this morning? Say the truth. Sister, what of you? Have you heard that people began to beat their wives? Have you heard that women began to curse their husbands? You need to ask this question. How did it begin? Was it not people that were calling each other honey and sugar? How did the honey turn into bitter leaf and bitter cola? You need to answer me. Did it just happen? Why? Overnight. And the honey became bitter cola. There is no such thing. It began in an imperceptible manner. Little by little. A little cord. A little cord. A little character that is terrible by the woman, and the man did not tolerate it. A little character of the man that is bad, and the woman did not tolerate it. And before you know it, the whole thing began to percolate. The whole thing began to compress itself until it became a mountain. And one day, I thought, I didn't even know that I married a devil. This was the person that was honey before. Sugar, manual before. How come that you are now seeing a devil? There was something that began little. A little cord of sin. And the devil used it and pulled until one day, idiot, Because I know here that I went to pay money on her head that Amaka had the other day. And this animal that is talking to me, they will call his wife animal. If your wife is animal, you are also animal. You call your wife animal, you are what? Animal. It's animal that marries animal. God of sin. But this afternoon, you can break that rope.